Well, last month we did our first Caboodle kit in January, and it was a success. We had a lot of fun working with the kit, and so some of you hesitated in purchasing the January kit because you weren't really quite sure what we were doing. But now you saw what we made and how we put the kit together on my live stream, and we all had a lot of fun. Even those of you that were working with your own stash, you made some comments that you were working along with us on a live stream, and you enjoyed doing it together. So I put together the one that we're going to be doing in February, and it will be up in my Etsy shop probably about the time you see this video, and we'll be working on it together, like I said, in February, and we'll be doing that on the 12th, and that's a Wednesday, and approximately the same time as we did last time. We'll talk about it more as it gets closer, but for sure it will be on the 12th of Wednesday. I mean, a February, which is a Wednesday. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. So some of you already know that we are going to be doing Frida Kahlo for February. So I'm going to show you real quick. Should have taken this out. Makes noise. Whoops. I'll be showing you some of the pieces parts that we will be working with. And as I go through this, some of them, they will all be the same in the kits, and then some of them, because, I'm using a lot of things that I've collected over time, I didn't have the quantity to have everything identical, but I'll point those out, and you'll see what I mean as we go along. All right, so I have this trim, and I'd mentioned it on my live why I decided to put the trim on there. First of all, she works a lot with wires and barbed wire in her art, reflecting, some of her pain. And that kind of, I don't know, it just reminded me of, wires and stuff. But then also, it reminded me of her eyebrows. So anyway, so I included that so we can figure out what we're going to do with that. In a lot of her art, she has shiny objects and metals and things like that. So of course I had put shiny stuff. And she's portrayed in a lot of her self-portraits. She has shawls and different things. And I thought that this just would look pretty with the overall aesthetic of a journal or whatever it is you decide to do with this. Of course, coming from Mexico, I had to put, a piece of a cactus. So there'll be a couple little pieces of that in there. I had some really pretty embroidered cloth that I got in Mexico, and it was a big long piece, but it had this one section with all this embroidery. So I didn't have enough to cut all of the same from the same section. So each person will possibly have something different from this, but it's from the same piece. And then I had this other piece that I just thought it really reflected the colors and the images, like from the tile and stuff that you see in Mexico. And in a lot of her work, she does have pieces of lace, and so there is a small piece of lace in each kit. I included these 3 napkins. They'll all be the same in each kit, but so that I could have enough to spread it around, I cut them in half. So you will get 2 sides with each of these. So on this one, you get two pictures of her to work with. And then I picked that because she liked to have those in her hair a lot. And again, this reminds me of the Mexican tile. All right, so I have two different um, depictions of her. One of them is in a red dress, one is in this yellow dress. And so they're going to be, you know, it's going to be hit and miss. Whatever you get is what you get. But it's still her. It's a nice fabric, and it'll be fun to work with. This is a cream colored background. I have some with white background and another one with a pink background. And those pictures will be in the listing, and you can decide what background you want. And then from this fabric, there were a lot of different types of scraps that were in between these larger pictures. And so I've included a few of those. And again, those will be random and everybody will get something a little different. Okay, now I have printed some things on a copy paper and then others on a cardstock. The copy paper ones are going to be used when we make our stamps, and we'll get into that, you know, when we do this together. And then also we're going to do some transfers, and it's easier to make transfers when it's printed on copy paper, because the less paper you have to remove from the paint and the ink, it easier it is. So these are a few that you'll have in your kit. Again, some of these are going to be random because I had done a lot of different prints, and so they're all going to be different. But I've included some colored ones that I did, some that I played around with, others that I did a sepia tone, and at least one the size of a postcard, and the rest will be various sizes. This is also in copy paper so that we can use this when we do our transfers. Okay, that goes there. You may have seen I was doing a lot of painty papers, so I included a piece of that so that we can maybe do some of our image transfers with some of that paper. These are some of the printouts that we're going to be using to make our stamps, and we're going to be making them out of the sticky back foam, and those come out looking pretty cool. I've shown you some of that on the on my lives. And here is a piece of fabric. I just like the look of it. It's nice and shiny, and a nice neutral color to put all these other bright colors against. And then everybody is going to get, and again, it's going to be random, everybody's going to get a piece this size of a cantha quilt. And like I say, they will all be different. And here is another printout for some of those stamps that we're going to do, and also some embossing. I'll show you an example in a second. And then I included some papers that you know, were colorful, so that you can include in your journal making. And then I had some pieces from the ones that I'm putting together, and they will be different. You may not get these exact ones, but they will be similar in you know, color. And then here are some other smaller pieces that we'll be able to use, and that is what you're going to get in February's Kaboodle kit. The whole kit and caboodle you get. See? Oh, and I forgot. she's into all the birds, right? If you're familiar with her work, she's always got some birds. There's that. And I had these little stickers. I think they're kind of cool. And they have that kind of look of the Mexican tin engraving. So I've included a different one in each one. And so that's what you're going to get, and we're going to play around and put it together. I wanted to show you really quick an example of how you can do a variety of things that's in there. For instance, that that sepia colored printout that I put in there of Frida. Here's an example of how you can go very subdued and make it kind of more dramatic as opposed to being really bright and colorful. That's one approach. This is more obviously on the bright side. I used some of this fabric and the trim and a printout, and then I used the Cantha quilt, and this would be a soft cover of a journal that you can make with that stuff. You know what I mean. I went, what? All right, move on, Rosemary. And then this is just done with one of those printouts, and I'll show you how you can do that with the printout and just some of you know, aluminum that you have in your kitchen and how you can get this effect. So there's a variety of looks that you can get with the supplies that you're going to get in this month's kit. And again, we'll be doing it together. I'll show you how to do this process, show you how we put this together. And this is for the benefit, you know, of those of you that are newer to junk journaling. And so each month we're going to learn a different technique that you can build upon. The first month was how to put it to how we put this together from scratch. And so you already have that knowledge. And if you didn't watch that video, you can go back and watch that. And now you're going to learn how to do a little bit more embellishing on your covers using different techniques with kind of the same items. And you kind of just switch them around and come up with something a little bit different. So anyway, that is what you're going to get for the February kit, and it's Frida, and it will be in the Etsy shop, and then we will be putting this together on February the 12th, which lands on a Wednesday. Okay, so if you have any questions, just let me know, and this will be in the Etsy shop. Okay, thanks a lot. I've been putting a lot of work and a lot of time putting these all together. I'm tired of looking at them. Long time. They needed a home, and you know what the saying goes. I think that home should be with you. Thank you.